Hi, very best wishes. Let's start with environmental sciences. The course is especially designed on the basis of the syllabus of NTA NET Environmental Science. It will also be covering the state level set examinations also. So let's start with our very basic introduction to environmental sciences. So let's start with the definition of environmental studies. There are several definitions of environmental studies that a few of them will be learning in this video, and we will be starting with the definition given by Jill Nugent, who is an instructor of science at Southern New Hampshire University, who says that environmental science is an interdisciplinary field that integrates scientific method and disciplines to understand and address real world environmental challenges. That means it is an integration of different fields of science, social science, and several interdisciplinary field of studies. So this integrated studies will make us understand what are the problems around us, and if we understand the problem, we will be able to understand how to mitigate it, how to fight against the challenges, how to solve the problems, right? So coming to the word environment, this was actually came from the French word environnement, which means natural, social, political, and cultural situation interacting with or affecting on the living and non-living entities, impacting upon natality, that means birth rate, growth, and living of any life including human, may be referred as environment. That means social, political, cultural situation all are interacting with each other, and this interaction may impact upon the living and non-living, impacting upon actually on living and non-living entities. How they are impacting upon their natality, that means birth rate, their growth, their living, their lifestyle, their habits, their everything, including human being. This totality of acting and reacting, interacting is called environment. Now, as we see that environment emerged, actually the term environment emerged in 1600 century or something like that. But first, it is believed that first it was coined by Jacob van Arpels in 1900, means 1920th century. And now the modern understanding, as we understand environment in today's world, that emerged in 19th and 20th centuries. First was Alexander von Humboldt. We all know that he is a famous, who introduced the concept of web of life, and that was followed by Rachel Carson, very famous, the Silent Spring, helped to popularize the modern environmental movements. So environment is an entity. Environment is important. That has been uh, means emphasized in Web of Life and Silent Spring. And then after that we see that Sir E.J. Ross, who also defined environment as aggregation of those external conditions. And United States Council on Environmental Quality states that man's total environmental system includes not only the biosphere but also the interaction with natural and man-made surroundings. So not only the human beings, not only the living things, but also the non-living things, the air, the oxygen, the water, everything is necessary for living, means sustaining lives. And again, these living things also impacting upon the non-living things. These interactions between living and non-living may be defined as environment. Now, here are few more definitions by several scholars, like Annie Anastasia. These are important to remember for any competitive exams, any kind of exam. So I have given this in a list. I hope students will be benefited from that. Annie Anastasia says that the environment is everything that affects the individual except his genes. This is very important, except his genes. Actually, environment, as per anesthesia, environment can impact any individual, means any living organism, but its genetical features. Boring, Langfield and Wales proposed that a person's environment consists of the sum total of stimulation which he receives from his conception until his death. So, entire life of a human being can be defined as environment as per Boring, Langfield and Wales. Douglas and Holland said that the term environment is used to describe in the aggregate all the external forces, influences and conditions which affect life, nature, behavior, the growth, development, maturation of living organisms. So Dockland and Holland says that environment is the aggregation, again the aggregation of external, all the external forces that impacts upon living. Now Woodward and Marcuse, they say that environment covers all the outside factors that have acted on the individual since he began life. And another important concept discussed by Anthony Downs, I'll be discussing it in my future videos. Anthony Downs proposed up and down with ecology, the issue attention cycle. The issue attention cycle, the article published in Up and Down with Ecology. The issue attention cycle states that public interest in resolving environmental crisis changes with time. This is actually not a definition of environment, but this is related to any problem regarding environment, any crisis, environmental crisis, right? So I'm just mentioning this issue attention cycle over here. I'll be discussing it elaborately in my future videos. So issue attention cycle states that public interest in resolving environmental crisis changes with time, and this change has been depicted in 5 sequential stages. What are these 5 stages? I'll be discussing later. Now here are some prescribed definitions given by authorities. The UK Environmental Protection Act 1990, according to section 1 in bracket 2 of the act, environment consists of all or any of the following media, namely air, water and land, and the medium or air includes the air within building, air within other natural or man-made structure above or below ground. So this is mentioned in UK Environmental Protection Act. And what our Indian Environmental Protection Act 1986, they define environment as, it is mentioned in section 2 in bracket A of the act. It defines environment as environment includes water, air and land, and the interrelationship which exists among and between water, air and land and human beings and other living creatures, plants, microorganisms and property, right? So the interaction between water, air, land, that means hydrosphere, atmosphere, lithosphere, and among them human being, not only the human being, means every living creature. That means the interaction between hydrosphere, atmosphere, lithosphere and biosphere is called environment. Now here is a very conventional, very known, very well discussed classification of environment. Environment can grossly be divided into abiotic factor or physical factors, and biotic factors or living factors or biological factors. Now these abiotic or non-living factors or physical factor include solid, liquid and gas, and this biotic factor comprises of plants, animals and human being. Human beings are marked as a different kind of living organisms. In other way, we can again classify it as means classify environment by its important factors. Climatic factor, that includes sunlight, temperature, pressure, humidity, wind. Biotic factor, plants, animals, human. Edaphic factor means soil, and physiographic factors means slope, altitude, etc. So these are means another way how we can classify an environment. Now this is very important slide. In this slide we can see that environmental studies or environmental science, it can be, uh, it is multidisciplinary by nature. It includes life science, biology, biochemistry, microbiology, and several more things of environment, several more biological things of environment like human physiology, botany, zoology, anything. And basic and applied science, what is the relation between environmental science and basic and applied science? Physical science is very important. Physics, chemistry, earth science, atmospheric science. These are all non-living components of environment. Without physical science means without physics, chemistry, without learning earth sciences, atmospheric sciences, we can't study environmental science. Now it includes technology also, civil, chemical, hydraulics, and nanotechnology. So these technology means these disciplines of engineering, these are also important for environmental sciences or environmental studies. Technological idea, technological knowledge is means integrated part of environmental science. Technology, civil engineering technology, chemical engineering technology, hydraulics, these with the knowledge of these things we can learn environment properly. And if we want to manage any problem, we have to know these things very properly. We must have some idea on these things. Now coming to management and awareness, this is probably the most important thing in environmental sciences or studies. That is the management and awareness things, means economics. How economy is related to environment. These two are very related to each other, economy and environment. And there are sometimes there is some confusion, there is some questions, what should we do? We should prioritize economy or environment. So economics, to understand economy without managing proper environment, we can't have a good economy also, and vice versa. So both of them, environment and economy, are very interdependent. We will be learning on environmental economics in our future videos also. Sociology is very important part of environment. We can't learn about environment without social sciences, right? Law, there are several laws and legislations over any country which restricts environmental activities and all. Education, environmental education is very obvious means very necessary. And in our country also, our education policies has recent education policies has included environment as integrated part of education from school level. Management study is very important to manage environment. We know environment, we understand environment, but if we can't manage environment, so it won't have any result ultimately. So we have to understand management. And mass communication is means media communication is also very important. People should be knowing about all the problems, or all the um, means all the sufferings people are suffering from, any environmental crisis like climate change. So mass communication is important to understand what people are suffering in some other countries for certain climatic disaster or anything. So mass communication is very important. And now coming to modeling. Modeling means mathematical modeling, statistical modeling, and computer science. These are also very important and integrated part of environmental sciences, because without proper modeling, we can't do proper management. We can't calculate, we can't model, we can't predict anything. We are unable to predict how to behave and what will be the result if we take certain action. So to understand this, we have to understand modeling. So these are all the important factors which we must learn while learning environmental science or studies. As we already discussed in our environmental protection law, they have mentioned that wind, water, soil, interactions of these three spheres with along with the living sphere, that is biosphere, is called environment. So the four important sectors are atmosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere and biosphere. So this is atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and the impact of these three spheres, all of them are impacting upon each other, and all these three spheres are impacting upon the biosphere. This center is biosphere, right? So here are some principles of environmental sciences, or we may say environmental studies or ecology. The first principle is principle of dependence and mutual influence. The principle of mutual independence says that more mutual influence or mutual dependence among the living and non-living, or between any two living organism, is more than we can imagine, more than we can understand, more than we can perceive. So principle of dependence and mutual influence, it is a very important feature or principle of environment, that everything is directly or indirectly dependent upon any other living or non-living entity in the environment, in a specific ecosystem. Now principle of balance. So the balance of nature, that is ecological balance, the theory suggests that everything, the system tend to remain a stable state of equilibrium or homeostasis. This means a minor change such as a size of particular population will be counterbalanced by negative feedback that will restore the parameter in its original, the point of balance which the rest of the system. This is very important principle of balance, very important thing. We have learned about equilibrium, two terms, equilibrium or homeostasis. This homeostasis and equilibrium, what are they? Actually, the nature or the environment has the power to solve its any changes in it. It has the power to means solve the problem and bring the system to its normal condition. It is its power, or it is its nature. If there is any small changes, any small um, disturbance in a system, the system will be acting like it will be solving the change into its former position. So this is called point of balance, and in this particular matter, environment, there are the components of environment, they act as feedback systems. So this feedback system will be resolving all the problem and bringing the environment to its former normal position. This is the principle of balance. We will be discussing on equilibrium, homeostasis, feedback system in our later videos. So now the principle of unity or oneness. In this principle, we learn that everything in nature is all part of the same whole. Actually, everything around us is basically part of a same unique whole, means one single unit. Now principle of diversity, it includes that although we are in a single, we are all a part of a single entity, but we are very diverse. Species are diverse, very diverse. There are several plants, there are several animals, there are several means living arthropods, microbes, several diverse kind of organisms are there. Not only organisms, if we think about the rocks and minerals and stones and water and chemicals, air, gases, we can understand that these wholeness of the wholesome thing is basically the mixture of several different things. This is called diversity. Now, principle of active tendency or resistive nature. So this is environmental resistance. It's a process that controls the growth of a species of an ecosystem. Ecosystem can resist change. It can comfort both biotic and abiotic factor. So resistive nature means if in a certain ecosystem a certain population gets uh, means population grows uncontrolled with in an uncontrolled way. So the there will be an imbalance if certain population becomes very very big, very very large. Its prey population will be becoming very much less. So to solve this, the nature has tendency to resist. We will be discussing on it. These are called limiting factor, these are called carrying capacity. So any population can grow up to a certain level. After that, the environment won't allow it to grow. It will be limiting its resources for growing, resources for surviving, anything. So this is the nature of environment, to resist any unrest. Now, principle of continuous production. Productivity is the rate of generation of biomass in an ecosystem. So continuous production means in ecosystem, if we consider ecosystem, so there are continuous production of energy. If we think about energy, so the production of energy is continuous, and every time energy is being generated, then it is being converted, it is being means it is being uh, means phase changes of energies are going on. Principle of adaptation. Adaptation is very important feature of ecosystem. That adaptation is basically the feature of means living things. If the environment, surrounding environment changes, there is two possibility of any organism. One is they can means if the environment doesn't support the species, they will die out, they will get extinct. And another way, they will get adapted to the new situation, new environmental condition. So adaptation is another important thing, another important feature of environment. There are several species, several organisms who are surviving by adapting the immediate environment, right? So energy flow is very basic feature of environment. In ecosystem, we can explain it like that. The energy flows from producer produces energy by trapping solar radiation in presence of carbon dioxide and cell sap, means underground water and nutrients. And after that, once this energy is produced, this flows through a food web or food chain. It is the ecological energy flow. After other than ecological energy flow, there are mechanical energies, there are atomic energies, there are several technical energies. So all the energy that we will be learning on thermodynamics also, the means the principles of energy. And energy flows in the ecosystem, in the environment. And now coming to principle of growth. Growth is a very basic principle of any living organism in an ecosystem. Growth is very obvious, be it individual growth or be it a smaller plant that is growing uh, as a bigger tree, or it might be population growth. Every living thing, every living organism around us, growth is their very basic feature that proves that they are living. And then principle of behavior again. Principle of behavior means behavioral pattern of any living thing, any organism that impacts any component, be it living, be it non-living, any components of ecosystem, right? So these are the basic principles. These are the basic principles of ecosystem. You may call it ecosystem, you may call it environmental studies. So the last topic of this introductory video is the scope. What are the scopes of environmental science? Why should we go through these videos? Why should we learn these? Why should we have a degree in environmental science or studies? Why should we seek for apply for different exams in environment? So what are the scopes of environmental science? So it is basically nowadays environmental science is a very basic knowledge, is very means fundamental living fundamental thing to know about. So it is awareness study. This study creates awareness. That is why we got the course of environmental studies from the fundamental courses, KG classes, class 1, or any means very early childhood classes. So this is to aware people, to make people know what is environment, what is it, it's important, how to behave, how to utilize resources, how to keep balance, and how to be responsible to your environment. Next is it provides knowledge about ecological system and cause and effect relationship. It gives idea about ecological systems, how everything happening around us, and what are the causes if we do anything, any activity, any activity of our daily life, what it would result upon our ecosystem. Third is it provide necessary information about biodiversity richness, potential dangers to species, plants, animals, microorganisms, and environment. Necessary information, people should be informed about all these things. This study enables one to understand the causes and consequences due to natural and man-induced disasters. This is man-induced actually. Man-induced disaster means flood, earthquake, landslide, and pollution, and measures to minimize the effect. So this study on environment enables us to understand that how to behave, what to do during any natural disaster or any man-made disaster, or can we do, what could be our responsibility while our surrounding is getting polluted for several particular activities. What would be our duty? What should we do? So here are a few more scopes. It enables one to evaluate alternative responses to environmental issues before deciding alternative course of action. So it enables human being to understand alternative responses to environmental issues. So what could be done alternatively? What people are doing may be harmful for nature, maybe not the proper solution. So proper study of environment can make one understand what could be the easiest and proper and appropriate way to do to solve any problem. Now number 6 is the study enables environmentally literate citizens uh, to make appropriate judgment and decision for protection and improvement of earth. So this study enables us to know that there are environmental acts, rights, rules, legislation in all the countries in the world. So in our country also we have a very well defined environmental acts, rules, legislation, and this study of environment enables us to know these things and informs us and makes us understand how to behave, what would be the appropriate thing and what appropriate judgments, right, and decisions. Now the seventh is the study exposes the problems over population, health, hygiene, etc. The role of art, science, and technology in eliminating or minimizing the evils from the society. This is very important. This study enables. This study means gives us the proper knowledge about what the population should do, what what is the problem regarding the overpopulation, regarding this overpopulation leading to health and hygiene related problems. These social knowledge, social responsibility, how not to contribute on the these overpopulation which will be leading to health and hygiene problem, any problem regarding the resources, land, and anything, and the role of art, science, and technology in eliminating or minimizing from minimizing the evils from the society. That means anything wrong, anything that is not correct for our society, for our environment, but our societal belief, our societal blindness may lead our means our society, our exact peripheral humans to do certain actions. We can judge it, we can minimize it, we can make people aware. The means we are getting aware, at the same time we can aware human beings around us. And next, the study tries to identify, develop appropriate and indigenous eco-friendly skill and technologies to various environmental issues. So, uh, once we are means active in problem solving in our surroundings, side by side we can do it also. We can initiate some eco-friendly activities, indigenous eco-friendly, indigenous people. We can learn from indigenous ideas. Indigenous lifestyle is very mostly their behaviors and their lifestyles are considering nature and centered to nature. So we can learn from them, we can promote them, and we can combine our learning, our education, our technology with them. Ninth is it teaches the citizen the needs for sustainable utilization of resources, as these resources are inherited from our ancestors and to the younger generation without deteriorating the quality. So this is the concept of sustainable development. Sustainable development means the utilization of resources or any commodity, any consumable, anything. The, we should use it responsibly. Responsible use of resources, so that we what we have inherited from our ancestors, we can pass it on to our next generation. And lastly, the study enables theoretical knowledge into practice and multiple uses of environment. So the studies of environment should not be limited into the classrooms and books. So it should be applied in daily life, in any developmental field or any problem solving fields. Thank you so much. See you in our next video.